Welcome back to Real Love Scenario.
We keep saying this, but we need to really get this track cut.
I didn't hear you on that one. You ain't harmonized with me right there.
Because I'm ready to go to the studio and drop some beats. Sorry, Real Love Scenario.
I love it. So as we always start off, how's your week?
My week was good. My week was great.
Got you.
Yes.
Anything exciting happened that made it so great?
Yes, I saw my friends. I celebrated one of my friends' birthdays.
You were.
Yeah, I was outside. Yes, had a very relaxing weekend.
That's good.
And it was fun. It was good. It was good times, like spending time with people that you love and you really like in a beautiful setting. It just makes everything better.
Yes.
I was like, this is life, this is life. So it's been great. And it's my birthday week. So it felt like a very celebratory
Lion
week.
Libra season.
Oh my gosh. Yikes. But yeah, it's been good. It was good. How was your week?
Good. My week was good. It was busy.
Okay. It looked like it's been a blur.
It's been a blur.
Okay.
I'm ready for a week to where there's nothing going on, but that doesn't seem to be where my life is trending right now.
Not right now. I just want y'all to know, let me say it to my camera. Dre is one of the, if not the hardest working men that I know.
Oh, wow.
This man hustles and works very hard. So listen, y'all show him some love in the comments on his page, on our YouTube page. Clap it up for Dre because he works very, very, very hard for all of our shows, for the whole network.
I appreciate that.
And for Don't Call Me White Girl. So you work very hard. I'm thankful.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
That means a lot. Yes. I want to thank our viewers and listeners as well.
Yes.
Well, so first, we need to figure out a name for our people. Our people.
Yeah, we got to come up with something cute. Maybe they can give us some suggestions.
Yeah, give us some suggestions. DM the Relationship Restored page or our page if you got any suggestions. But I'm so happy because seeing the growth in something to know that a lot of you guys are listening. You may not know that I came to Rhonda with this idea of Relationship Restored and kind of this show even 2000 maybe 18 or something like that.
I think the first conversation was 2018 because you didn't even know what exactly it was going to be exactly.
At all. I just wanted to create a digital media platform around relationships.
And we had our first official meeting, I think in 2019. Where we whiteboarded stuff and it was okay, the vision is coming along.
Exactly. Yes. It was definitely pre-COVID and it's to be here now in this position to where in May we started with really 0 listeners and now it's we are definitely past 5 digits. Was the 5? Yeah. Yes. Over 10,000.
Yes, over
10,000 for sure.
Yes.
And steadily growing. So I just want to appreciate everybody who listens. I don't think people know how much when people are like, "Oh, I love this show," or "Oh, you need to do more because I listen to it all the time." It's just such a joy to know that not only what we're doing is not for nothing, but that we're impacting people, that we're entertaining people, that we're engaging people.
For sure.
And I can't wait to really take this show on the road and really get to, I know that's one part that you're excited about is being able to really see people, interact with people and have dialogue. Cause that's ultimately what this is about is just sharing perspectives, getting new perspectives, and meeting new people and,
it's exciting. It's exciting and it's dope. And Dre and I are genuinely excited. We text each other.
Yes.
Things oh my gosh, look at what this person said. So it means a lot to us that you all are feeling the kids.
Yes, for sure. And one last shout out is that I ask those people who are listening, like I said, it's over 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900. I'm not gonna keep going. It's over, a good amount of people who listen to us every week, which is awesome. And I always just ask hey, doesn't cost you anything, but means a lot to us to just leave a nice 5-star review. Yeah. It really helps the show and, helps push us forward. And we went in that time frame from I think 50 reviews to 105 in a matter of a few weeks. Clap it up for y'all. And that's on Apple Podcasts. So I really appreciate that. Keep reviewing.
Please.
I have a goal. Let's say by the end of the year, let's say December, October, November, December.
Yeah.
3.
300?
300?
Absolutely.
Let's do 300. 300 by the end of the year.
We can do that.
300
and it's going to be your birthday.
It is going to be my birthday.
So now it's switching over
to Scorpio season.
Yeah, it's the Scorpio season. And Dre is going to want that for his birthday too. So thank y'all for showing out for my birthday. Now it's time to show off for Dre's.
We appreciate that. All right, you ready to hop into our real life scenario?
Let's do it. Now, this person does not want to be anonymous. I have to like triple double.
You gotta check that now, right?
Yes, I'm checking it. Like I checked it before, but like I'm over checking it now. So this week's scenario is from Ashley. She says, "Hi there, I'm reaching out because I need advice. A guy I knew from my teenage years suddenly reappeared in my life and expressed interest in getting to know me better. On numerous occasions, he asked me out on dates. However, I said no for 3 reasons. First, I thought it was weird that he suddenly was interested in me after not speaking to me for 10 plus years. Second, I have gained a lot of weight since the last time he saw me and thought he would be turned off by the new me. Lastly, the thing I remembered about him was that he was always in legal trouble. After about 5 no's, I eventually said yes. Fast forward, we go out on this great date. We get intimate. Now he's switched up and stopped putting in effort. When I asked him why he doesn't try to see me as much anymore, he said he was surprised that I wanted to see him so often because I never cared to see him before. I feel like he is flipping the script and trying to get me back for all the times that I previously rejected him. Did I make a mistake getting involved with this man, and what should I do now?"
That's a good one.
It is. Thank you for writing in, Ashley.
Thank you, Ashley, for writing in. So where you want to start with this?
Whew, it's the legal trouble for me, but okay, maybe we should not start there.
Okay.
Let's kind of start with this whole idea of kind of revisiting something old.
Okay.
Because I want to explore that a little bit. Because I think sometimes that gets a bad rap, like don't look behind you. It's behind you for a reason. I don't know if I fully subscribe to that, because I do think sometimes just things weren't aligned when you first connected, especially if you were like much younger. If you were like in high school or middle school or like even early college, but now you're like 40 or 45 and you never got to fully explore something, I don't think anything's wrong with that. I do think sometimes doubling back on bad situations, like things went really bad, might not be the best idea. But I just am curious, like, what are your thoughts on kind of reaching back or being open to exploring something from the past?
So I think one thing that you said is important, like the age thing is different. Yeah. So it's like if you knew somebody in high school or something like that, and then you meet when you're like 30.
Right.
Like who you are as a person is completely different.
Yeah.
You probably honestly don't even know that person.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They're a complete different person through their experiences and the things that they've been through. So I would say that is something that I feel like could make sense. In this situation though, I feel like it's odd because she didn't say that they dated previously. She just said that she knew him.
Right. And
it's like 10 years is a long time. I mean, what's she say? Teenage? I knew him from my teenage years. Suddenly he reappears. So let's say you were 17. 10 years later, that's 27.
Right. What's the big deal?
So he wasn't interested in you in 11th grade, but now as a fully grown adult, now he's interested in you. Like that's a completely different thing. Yeah. There have been plenty of women not plenty, I won't say that. But there have been women who I even knew in college. And then once I got out of college, I expressed interest, and the girl was like, "Oh, you know me this whole time. Like, why now?" And the thing is that when you look over like what actually happened during that time, sometimes it's like timing. Like sometimes it's like, "Oh, I thought you were attractive. You were in a situation. Right. Oh, you may have liked me. I was in a situation."
Correct.
Or you may not have expressed it, or we may not even try to like even attempt this thing, or maybe working up the courage to do, like there's so many different reasons of why something could have happened in the past, even though we knew each other and interacted with each other, to where now something can possibly happen.
Or you look different.
Yeah, that's very true.
The hell, like let's just be honest. Like if it was college,
some people age gracefully and look good as they get older.
Absolutely, the glow up is real.
Some people look better with a little weight on them than what they had in the past. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. So that is, I didn't necessarily fully understand that. What the big deal was about, well, you know, he was somebody from her teenage years, and it's like, now why? I do sometimes feel like just people in general, but I got to speak from the woman's perspective. We overthink so
overanalyze,
much. Yes, like just let it be, you know, be mindful, be thoughtful, you know, like consider all things, but don't psych yourself out of a situation because you're trying to figure out all of the answers as to why. Like, if he's interested now, he's interested now.
Exactly.
Now I know we got to get into the story a little bit more because it does seem like he kind of did a little bait and switch, but just let it be.
Yes.
Let it be. If you're attracted to him and he's attracted to you now, what?
Yeah, it's like that's the hesitation, because it's like, oh, you know me for this long, and this is your first time expressing interest. I don't know. That's just not me. But when you talk about doubling back, I think there's two situations where you shouldn't double back.
Okay.
And I've experienced, I guess, both of these to a certain extent. The first one is being guilty. Like, you shouldn't double back because of guilt. I've been in that situation to where you were with somebody, it didn't work out the way that you thought it would work out, and you have somewhat a part to blame because of that, or you did something that messed that situation up.
Right.
So then you try to get back in that relationship to rectify what you did. Y'all honestly weren't really great for each other in the first place, and that's part of the reason why y'all broke up. But instead of, you know, just being like, dang, I messed up, I'm sorry, and moving on, you're trying to double back to show that person that, hey, I'm changed, or hey, I'm different.
Yeah.
I've seen it in situations where somebody thought somebody sexually wasn't as good, then they'll double back with that person to show like, hey, look, like I do got it now, or like I'm better now. You know, don't double back because of guilt, and also don't double back because of loneliness. Like, don't double back because it's like, all right, I was in this situation with this person and it didn't work out for whatever reason, but now I'm by myself, single, lonely. You was the only person I was getting down with, maybe. And then it's like you're doubling back just because you just are like,
you're bored.
It's bored.
You
Nobody
just want
else.
something to do.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, like, I get that. Not saying that you should do it. I understand it though sometimes, because there's like comfort in going back to something that you've already explored. But I think you have to be really careful and really mindful around managing your emotions when you double back with someone out of like loneliness. Like, I guess in a roundabout way, what I'm saying is, if you're just using it for some like short temporary benefit, and you know that that's what it is, and they know that's what it is, it may not be the worst thing in the world. But if you can't manage your emotions, and like you say, you are just doing it because you just feel alone, you got to get comfortable with being alone and not lonely. They're two different things. I like being alone, not all the time, but I like being alone. It doesn't make me uncomfortable. Loneliness though is something that you have to combat with the proper things, not just filling the space with people, for sure. Yeah,
for sure. Okay, so the second part of this, she says, I have gained a lot of weight since the last time he saw me and thought he would be turned off by the new me. So I have something to say about this.
Go.
I feel like we are our worst critics a lot of times.
Yes.
Right? Is that a lot of times when it comes to ourselves, the things that we think are bad are not nearly as bad as what we make them.
Right.
And I know specifically that living with a woman, like for sure. And I mean, even with myself, it's like, how many times I tell her, be like, oh my gosh, I need to go get a haircut. And she like, you look fine. I'm like, no, I don't. Like, I look rough. But she's like, you look fine to me. And then for her, oh my gosh, it's every time we got somewhere to go. Like, this doesn't fit.
My hair,
this doesn't look
dress,
good.
This shirt,
like,
my pants,
my arms in this, like my thing. And it's like, I'm like, yo, you look fine.
Yeah.
Or not only do you just look fine, or it's also like, you look the same that you've always looked. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes it's like, oh, I've gained a little. And it's like, no, like, it's not that much of a difference from, it's nothing like crazy from what you are. So I think you could have kind of self-sabotaged in this moment, what she's talking about, saying that, oh, I gained a little weight. And you just assume that he may have felt some type of way or anything about that. Yeah. And what if, because of that, that's one of the reasons that he's attracted to you?
Because, so what's crazy for me is, like, he asked you, he's been trying to pursue you.
Yes.
I'm going to assume that he's not blind.
Yes.
So he can see you, right? So if he's pursuing you with this additional weight that you know that you have put on, that I'm sure, she said I gained a lot of weight. So you see it. I'm sure he sees it, and he has still actually been trying to date you.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the weight didn't matter to him. I'm going to go with that.
Yes.
Is it possible that it does, but he's just trying to like manipulate the situation? Sure. People are capable of all types of wild things, but he can see you, baby. And I think he's okay with the weight gain. I think he was fine with it. So yes, women, everybody is overly critical. We are our own worst critics, but yes, we get in our heads so much. And I'm a woman of size, a thicker woman, and I have been before I was even a woman. I've just had more things, from just poor dieting to genetics. Mm-hmm. And yes, sometimes that has been like it's a self-esteem thing. Like, oh my gosh, how I feel about myself. Does he think that? Will he be attracted to me? But I'm gonna tell you, as a woman who has fluctuated in weight, who is the average size woman, confidence is so much, and confidence is so attractive. And I have learned to love my body in every form that it is in, because I appreciate it for what it does for me and not always what it looks like. And I think when you get around that, like, yes, I'm always thinking about changing it. I've lost weight. I've worked out. I still do these things. But if I'm going to be out here and put myself out there, I have to know that there is someone attracted to me. And I don't have no problems. I really, really don't have any problems. So how I think, and like you said, how I view myself is not always how a man views me. Mm-hmm. And in some ways, I'm really thankful for that a man is like, yo, I think you're beautiful. I love that thing that you call a flaw. I think it's sexy, or I think it's hot. Like, get out of your own head. If he's not putting that on you, he's not projecting that or making you feel bad about how you look, you got to stop making you feel bad about how you look, because that's going to show up. You're going to look like you're not confident. You're going to look like you need someone to validate how you feel about yourself. And that is a recipe for someone to manipulate you. Yeah. That is a recipe for someone to use it to hurt you.
It's like one of the most common ways of coping with things that you are insecure about or have low self-esteem about is try to almost get ahead of it and kind of point it out to somebody before they can tell you that it's a thing or that it's a problem. But sometimes you are shining a light on something that nobody even thought about or cared about. Yeah. It's like, I don't know, it's like if you're going to expect a house or something like that and you're like, everything looks good, and somebody's like, well, these floors are kind of creaky. And then you're like, I wasn't concerned about the floors before, but now, should I be concerned about the floors? It's like you said, confidence is sexy. Confidence is attractive. And if you don't have an issue with the way your body is or anything like that, it's, if I'm attracted to you, there's not going to be anything that makes me question that either. But if you start to doubt yourself and question it and always complain about it, then it's like, or really insecure about it, then that just shines a light on it even more to me and makes me more cognizant of it. Yeah, and that becomes unattractive.
That you keep down talking or negative self-talking yourself and your own body. I've been around men who are self-conscious about things, and I may not, just like Bree is looking at your hair kind of like, you look fine, where it's like, you're fine to me. Like, if you can't accept you the way that you are, and you want to keep forcing it down my throat that something is wrong with you, that will become the issue. It's not so much what you look like, what you got going on with your body. It's the fact that it's really how you think about yourself that is very unattractive. Yeah. So that's a thing I had to learn to do myself. But I know that, like, confidence is,
oh man,
it's huge. Listen, I have dated guys, Dre. Like, when I first met them, I was like, I don't know about this. But very confident, and I'm like, damn, got me wrapped around his finger. Like, it's just like not to use the cliche term of like swag, but that's really a thing. You being confident and handling yourself and not letting, I'm not saying the carnal and the outer appearance doesn't matter, But your personality and how you treat someone, I think, goes a really long way, because I've met really attractive assholes. So it's kind of like, I would rather the little semi-ugly, amazing guy than the one who's super fine, but he's pretentious and arrogant and disrespectful. Like, I'm gonna go with the one with less looks than that one. So yeah, just get your confidence up, baby. Like, weight gain or not, I'm sure you still look good, because this man was pressing you down.
That's what I'm saying. He
told him
you.
no 5 times.
5 times.
Damn.
So let's go into that too. You told him no 5 times.
Yes.
Fast forward, we go out on a date and it's great. We get intimate. Now he switched up and stopped putting in effort. So
Dre about to get you, Ashley.
You said he switched up. Is that what you said too? You think you feel like he's wrong, or that he?
It's interesting. It's interesting because that can go one of 2 ways. But I'm gonna let you go first. Okay. I'm gonna hold my one of 2 ways.
See, my thing is that what people have to learn is that playing hard to get never works in the long term. Because what happens is that sometimes the person starts off attracted to you, but when you play hard to get, then they become more attracted to the chase. So they're trying to conquer and chase and win at this game that's being played. Yeah. Then once they conquer and win, the interest is now lost. Yeah. Because I won now. I captured. It's not a genuine thing. Like, I like you, you like me, let's go out on a date. There is no back and forth and no game with that. So it's like, I'm interested in you, we're talking. But if you make this into a game, if you make this into me having to chase you, which men like to do to a certain extent.
Yes.
Once I win to a certain extent,
game over.
Game over. Yeah. And you're saying that he's switching up. You feel like it's get back. I mean,
Perhaps,
but I don't even think it's consciously. I think that he was genuinely interested in you, and for factors that he did not know, that you felt like it was weird that he's known you for this long and just expressed interest, that you were uncomfortable with your own body and the way that you looked and the weight that you gained, and then also your perception of him because of past legal issues that you know about. Yeah. You already had a judgment and viewpoint about him that was that he did not know about. Yeah. So he's coming into this thing thinking that you're just playing games. Yeah. He's interested in you, but you're playing games. Yep. So like I said, he became attracted to the chase. And once he conquered, got the chase, like killed, I guess, to a certain extent. Yep. Now things switch up because the chase is over. Yeah. And now the real starts to set in. Is like, I was after you and you played all this, did all this back and forth for me, all this to be here. And now what? And now what?
And so that for me, and this is absolutely not to be judgmental, because I feel like everyone should have perfect autonomy over their own bodies and what they choose to do, right? You want to get intimate on the first night, knock yourself out. You comfortable with that? Whatever. But how can you have played so hard to get 5 times over, right? Like, no for this reason, no for that reason. He just kept pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. And then one great date, and boom. I mean, I assume it was a really great night, because it led to you wanting and being comfortable with giving him this body that you were nervous that he wouldn't even like, right? So it's almost like it's like, if you're going to play the game, which I don't agree with you playing the game to begin with, right? If you have a genuine interest, date the person, like them, see how it goes. But if you're going to play hard to get, play hard to get. Yes. Don't, like, you took him through all of that just to be like whatever, you know what I mean? Like, it was almost like fake that you were even doing that. And he could have sensed that. Like,
you did all that for.
It's almost like you could have potentially, and listen, him sleeping with you and then switching up, no woman wants to feel that. It's one of our greatest fears, which I'll go into a little bit in a second. But you did all of that, no, just to give it up on the first night. And now you're like, I wonder if like he's wrong. It's like, I don't know if he's wrong. I just think he probably just picked up on this from you, from how you feel about yourself, how you feel about your body, and the fact that you're those no's where you felt like you were really rejecting him. He probably was like, she ain't really, she gonna give it to me. You know what I mean? Like, she gonna give in. She's gonna give in. I think if a man is asking you 5 times, I think he knows that those no's were loose. They were not hard no's.
Yes.
Because I don't even think a man who really wants you would even take no that many times if he really thought that the first no was a hard no, the second no was a hard no. They were all probably maybes.
And I want to break this down.
Okay,
don't lose your thought.
I'm not.
Mom, close your ears if you're listening to this. But this is the reality, and I need a lot of women to understand this.
Oh goodness.
That when it comes to men, there's kind of like stages to a certain extent.
Okay.
Or categories, I would say, when it comes to women and women that you entertain. And the categories are to what extent you would carry the relationship to. And I'm giving you these categories because the behavior can mimic a relationship, but you don't know what category you're necessarily in. So you have the first one, which is you have friend, which is a category. I meet somebody cool, homegirl friend. You have head, you have sex, you have somebody that you're willing to talk to, and then you have somebody that you're actually willing to be in a serious relationship with.
So wait a minute. So head is a category.
Yeah. So you
is that the category after friend?
Yeah. So I'm just saying is that to a certain extent. So this is what I'm saying is that you have some women, and I'm talking about my
childish. Go ahead.
This is you talking about my days when I was
of course
out there.
Y'all know what's up. Y'all know Dre is married, but we talking. He got to be able to talk freely.
So you got to think of, all right, you have a friend.
Yeah.
So this is like a homegirl, like she cool. Like I have plenty of homegirls that have not slept. I mean,
yes,
you're a homegirl. Like
exactly.
I haven't slept with, haven't done anything intimate or romantic with, just friends.
Yes.
Cool. Then you have the girls that you would willingly entertain to, let's say,
some romantic experience
to get hit.
Okay.
Right.
I just am tripped out off the fact that we go from friend homegirl to head. It's no in between right there, Dre.
I mean, I'm thinking of. I'm going off of my single, like, out there in the world. So it's like there's girls that I know when I was in college that I would get head from, but I didn't necessarily even want to have sex with.
Okay.
Like, didn't see them in that way. But, and also with the head girls, there was not a lot of effort that went into that. Right. It's like, I'm not giving a ton of effort in order to.
Funny, but I can't get myself together.
I'm not putting a lot of effort to get to this point. Right.
Yes.
To it's like, it has to be simple.
Yeah.
So sex. So this is the next and this can span in a lot of different ways, right, for different people. But, and I want to point this out to Ashley, is that sometimes a man sees you, they're physically attracted to you, and they're interested in having sex with you.
Yes.
They don't want, at the moment when they see you, they're not thinking relationship. They're not thinking friendship. Yeah. They're more thinking like, wow, she's bad. And I'm attracted to her. I would love to have sex with her. The actions that I'm taking are not really actions to pursue anything long term. I'm dating. I'm showing her a good time. I'm having fun with her, ultimately to end up having sex with her. So I feel like a lot of women mistake those behaviors that men take, and it's like, well, things were going good, and he seemed like he was really interested. It's like sometimes some dudes just want to have sex with you. Yes. And that behavior can mimic what you feel like is a relationship, or before he reaches that goal or does have sex with you, he can seem a little bit different, or more into you than, or really into you than, or really, really into you. Yeah. But once he has sex with you, then sometimes that ends. Yeah. And then you have the next part to where a guy meets somebody that he wants to frequently have sex with, but then also enjoy spending time with you and hanging out with you.
Right.
Like I have those days in college to where there was girls I had sex with, and sometimes I didn't even want them to stay over because it was like, I'm attracted to you, blah, blah, blah. Like it's good. What we do is fun, but I don't really like you like that.
Okay.
Like that, like from a conversation standpoint.
Yeah.
Like we don't got a lot in common. You do what you do for me. I do what I do for you, and it's good. Wow. But there are people who you have sex with, but you enjoy like spending time with them, and they're like cool, they're fun, they're cool to be around.
Yeah.
You trust them. They're like a friend,
right?
With benefits to a certain extent.
That's exactly what they are.
And then that's what I would consider like the talking category, to where it's like you form a relationship. But then a lot of guys, like I want women to understand this as I bring this to an end.
I'm enjoying this.
Is that
very much
the amount, like it is such a small number of women that a guy meets and he's like, dang, I want to take her really serious, especially when he's out here like, you know what I'm saying? Like having fun, doing his thing, single. Like it is a very small, like the odds of it being you a lot of times is not always going to be super high unless he demonstrates over time and consistency that you are somebody that he wants to be with. But in this situation, I'm like, maybe you set your expectations too high for what this situation is. Like, maybe it was just a situation where, he was just looking, he thought you were attractive. He remember you from back in the day. Like, and he is attracted to you and he likes you, but maybe it's not something beyond sex.
Yeah, beyond physical.
And it could have been even a better relationship if when he expressed interest, you just were like, gave him the time of day.
Yeah.
And like they went out with him, had coffee. And we talked about this before. Everything when it comes to dating doesn't have to be this huge spectacle to where you get dressed and do this. It's like, hey, let's go have coffee.
Yep. Let's go take a walk in the park.
Let's go take a walk. Let's grab lunch.
Let's get some ice cream.
Something to where you don't have to have this huge commitment with somebody that you known for 10 years and just pop back up. You can just like do something casual to where you can really kind of fill out the interest.
That's it.
Fill out how you feel,
brain.
how you like them, how they've changed over the years, pick their brains. And then you can see like, oh, maybe this is something I can continue to move forward with versus like just no.
Exactly.
And it's like, oh, yes. And then the yes is like, yes, basically, because
it's like, hell yes. Yes. Fuck yes. I've been waiting for this. It's like, it was like all those no's just to jump clean off the cliff is just very interesting and potentially confusing.
Yes.
The point, and that was a perfect segue for the kind of idea around, I think, women's greatest fears around that.
You enjoy my categories.
Listen, head girls, I will never unhear that. Like that will be permanently embedded in my head. No pun intended.
I'm sorry. That's just
sorry, mom.
That was my
Dre's mom, because my mom does not listen.
That was like I said, those days. It's like certain people those were your experiences. I get it, and trust me, just like we have our categories. Women have their categories too.
It's women who have the meal guys.
Yeah.
Yes, it's, the guys who pay the bills, the ones that you really like, that feed you, pay your bills, sleep with you, and really like spending time with you. Yes, we all have our categories that we put people in based on our experiences. So I'm not mad at that. But that idea around like sleeping with someone on the first date, right? Like I know that there's so many stigmas about it, and it's mostly placed on women. Like women go into this like, I can't do it. I can't give it to him on the first night. Like it's just gonna be, I'm like, he gonna think I do this with everybody. I'm a hoe, and like this is his perception. Like I can't do it. So I have to hold on to it. I have to hold on to these cookies for as long as I can to see if he is serious. And here's the thing, I don't disagree with that. Do what makes you feel most comfortable, but you could very well not do it for 3, 4, 5 dates, 6, 7 dates. He could still come the 7th date when you do decide to give it to him, walk away.
Very true.
You taking that process of like waiting an X amount of dates or X amount of time. I think if you're going to wait to give it up, It should be once you are comfortable with knowing what that looks like. But that comes with conversation. That comes with like spending time with someone, even if it's just a couple hours of a conversation. If that's a fear of yours, or you know that like you do not want to do that, or you don't want to become physically intimate with someone unless they're going to take you seriously and they're not just trying to make you like a sex girl or a head girl, you have to ask those direct questions. Like, so what exactly are you looking for in me? Like, you may not know that you want to marry me, but are you marriage minded? If they're like, nah, I'm just trying to go with the flow, or I'm just having fun. Those are like catchphrases for, I don't really want anything 9 times out of 10 more than just your body.
Yeah.
And if you're cool with that, then this can be a thing. But we have to be intuitive and realize that that's what that means. I think sometimes women really think that, while I do think the P is power, it is certainly power. I just don't think it's enough to convince someone to be different than or that they're going to now be transformed. If he said, I just want to have fun, you think that you have so much power in this thing that after y'all have sex, he going to be like, nope, that's it. You my girl. I want you to be my girlfriend. No, that's not enough. Again, I love us.
Never will be enough.
That is not enough, especially for a man who has access to women or has slept with other women. Like, I will stand on a mountaintop and say, I got some good box all day long. But do I think it's enough to convince a man to be more serious about me? Of course not. Like, that's just, I think that comes with maturity and time. That's not enough.
And then the question is, do you want it to even be enough?
Right. Because, like, are you just being my man because of
that relationship to be that and based off of that? Because that's so flimsy. That's not stable.
No, it's not. It's not. It's not. So like that whole, I get the fear, I get the feeling, but I almost feel like you said, it was just a chase and he became attracted to the chase. And then once he got it, it was almost like, it's like, to me, he's kind of off it. Even his response to her, like, I'm surprised that you even care that I'm not pressing up on you because you told me no a bunch of times. So it's kind of like, I got what I wanted. So yeah, it's kind of like not a thing for him anymore. I don't know how to really.
Let me tell you, let me ask you this.
Okay.
This is just not an episode for mothers.
Just make sure you tell her.
So I don't know if women do this, but I know that guys can sometimes do this. Maybe because we are the ones more giving than taking to a certain extent.
Okay.
But it's kind of almost like if somebody gets on your nerves, it can motivate you more to want to, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, put it down on them, like,
yeah.
And then kind of leave them high and dry, like, like,
here I go spilling my real love scenario.
You know what I'm saying? It's like sometimes you be like, oh, you want to.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Say
watch,
less.
Watch.
Yep.
Do all this wine and dining, rock their world, and then like.
Now what?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was no. Now it's yes. now you like, hey, good morning, good afternoon, how you doing?
So I know dudes
you
do
hungry?
that. Do.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I think women, especially what people call alpha women.
Yeah.
Definitely. I experienced that. I really liked this guy. Thought he was so attractive, so fly. It was all these things. I watched him from afar for a long time. I can't even say where because that would just be too revealing.
Yeah.
But I watched him from afar for a long time and he never paid me any attention. And I'm like, going back to that confidence thing, I'm like, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. And he never came up to me. So I went to him. It's like, I think you're nice looking. I would love for us to connect. He takes my number. We exchange numbers. We talk on the phone. We go out. The date was cool. Date was great. We had fun. And that was that. We continued to talk. The next time we hung out, he spent so much time talking about his type and that I was nothing like his type. Not the size, not the complexion, nothing. The texture of my hair, like none of these things was things that he's normally attracted to, but thinks I'm such a nice person and you're so cool, but I really enjoy talking to you and hanging out with you. The more he talked about that, because he talked about it several times after that, different phone calls that would keep coming up. It was just like this almost irritating reminder.
Yeah.
Like he wanted to keep reminding me that like you not my cup of tea. That sent this thing off in my head that I was like, I gotta prove him wrong, right? Like I gotta prove him wrong. I don't want anything serious because if you spending that much time trying to convince me that you don't like me like that, yet you invite me out on dates, you invite me over to your house, we not sleeping together, so you're not getting anything at this point other than my time and attention, the same thing that we're exchanging here. And once I got him in a position where I felt like I could show him better than I could tell him, it was over for me. Once I conquered it, once I proved that I know what your mouth said, but something else is saying something a little bit different. Once I got it there, it was kind of like,
I'm over it.
I'm kind of over it. Like it was of course just like irritating that he kept doing that. And I wouldn't advise anybody to do what I did, but yeah, it was like, okay, right. You keep saying no, but I can show you better than I could tell you. And I mean, eventually, like later on, years later, because we remained cool to some capacity. He kind of was like, it's crazy that you were kind of one of the only ones that cut through these really rigid physical standards that I had set for myself. So it's like that could have very well been the case for this guy, and maybe not initially, because that wasn't my initial intention. It wasn't initial. It was not. I really just thought he was nice looking, and I was like, he's probably a nice guy, and he seems like a spiritual man, and all things that I'm attracted to. But yeah, once the chase started to feel like, oh, you really trying to prove to me that you don't want this? Oh, okay. I could tell you. I mean, literally the first time I conquered it, I literally conquered it and left it. Like I got it to a place that, if y'all can read between the lines, I got it to a place and just like rolled out. Like, and it was on some like, yo, what's up? Like, what happened? Where you at? What, you not coming back? No, I gotta run. I gotta go. But I'll see you soon. I'm sure we'll connect. Yeah. For sure. Then it was the phone calls, and it was the text. What you doing tonight?
The switched up on me.
Yeah, the girls that you normally date aren't available. That's crazy. You know what I mean? So it never became anything serious, but 100% women do that as well.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So yes. That's what I'm getting.
That's what I'm getting to.
That's what I'm getting. And the last question she asked is, did I make a mistake getting involved with this man, and what should I do now? I think you made a mistake on the initial approach with this man. And as far as what you should do now, I mean, what do you want?
Right.
Like, do you want a relationship with this man? Because my thought is that probably isn't going to happen.
No, and I also don't even think that she wants a relationship with him.
She just wants to.
Her pride is bruised.
Yeah.
Because you had the power when you kept rejecting him, when you kept saying no. In a sense, you had the upper hand. He was chasing you. And for women, sex is a very different experience. And because we are being entered, and so how our bodies and our brains react to that
for sure
is very different. You can have a lot of power until you give sex up.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden that pendulum swings. And it's like, now you handed it off to him. So I don't even think you really like him like that.
Yeah.
I don't. To tell him no that many times, I don't think you like him like that. I think you liked him enough to go out on a date with him. You liked him enough in that moment to sleep with him. And now you feel your ego and your pride is bruised because after he got that, he was like, I'm good. Yeah. And that is, in all seriousness, it's a bad feeling, I think, for anybody to feel like they got played sexually. Like you got something that I kind of can't get back. But I would say just change your mindset around it. It was a night. Y'all had fun. Hopefully the sex was really good. But you don't really like him like that. Actually, like, what you should do is move on.
For sure.
That's it. Call it what it is. He's a thing of the past. Just let it be.
Something to learn from. Like you said, hopefully you had a good time. Hopefully you enjoyed yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that for those people who talk to people and are dating people, number one, I always say that some people are good daters, like amazing daters, but when it comes to relationships, they're not good at relationships, but they can date really, really good.
Yeah.
But also in the beginning, when you're dating somebody, it's like that's at a point to where you know them the least. And when they're super excited and motivated to do nice things and do like cool things and loving things and endearing things, because there's motivation for that. Yeah. So to think that that's always going to be how the person is going to be, it's not the truth. Like even with me being with Bree for as long as I have, and us being married for a year and a half, it's like, I love my wife. I do things to show my wife that I love her every day, but it will never be at the initial, you know what I'm saying? That initial first love, dreamy eyed, like point to where you're willing to jump over the moon and back for somebody. And to a certain extent, like it'll never get back to that. It'll never be at that point, I would say, because it's just a different feeling. It's new. It's fresh. It's like, so when you have somebody act that way towards you, just know that that's not a realistic.
It's highly euphoric.
Yeah, it's highly euphoric.
Highly euphoric to the point where you can't even like control it. Like your body, the chemicals are just like, woo, like you just, it's a high.
Yeah.
And it is very hard to chase that or get that again. It's just, you still, like you said about Brie, you love her, of course, you do think you want to be with her, you still attracted to her, all of those things, but the newness is gone. This is my person, I have you. It's no different than when you pop that seal on sex.
Yeah,
it's like the first time could be trash, but 9 times out of 10 the euphoria that goes into that first time,
the build up, the everything, it's hard to do that.
It's hard to do that again. And so I don't think she should even trip that much about this. Yes. I mean, I would say my biggest advice to you about what you should do is just be more confident in yourself and don't play hard to get if you really don't want to do that. Like we talked about, I think on the last episode or the one before that, like the games, like I want the overall dating space to be less games in it. Like, stop. Like, if you like someone and they like you, just explore it and see what happens with that. Like, stop with I gotta keep saying no because then I gotta make sure that he likes me more than I like him, or she likes me more than I like her, because then that's gonna prove to me they really want to be with me. It's just so much foolish psychology going on in the dating space, and then you find yourself in stupid situations because both of y'all were just posturing and playing games for too long. It's just silly. And then it just, like you said, it doesn't work out in the long run. You did all of that and then what? Nothing. Next. What you should do now? Next.
And like we said earlier, as we close this out, stop taking dating so seriously. If you're attracted to somebody, they're attracted to you, and you're in a space where you're dating, ice cream, lunch, happy hour, anything that, it doesn't have to be a date. It doesn't have to be them paying for you, you paying for them. It could just be a meetup. Like, hey, like you want to grab coffee, like, or hey, like something just simple, just to fill out
what it
is and who they are and stuff like that. Not something that has to be this extravagant. You pick me up, you show me that you're this, you pay for this and you do that. It's like, if you're going to do that, you're going to get tired of dating because it just seems like a spectacle every single time, and you're going to get tired of that. But if you just meet up, happy hours, lunch, ice cream, walks, like you said, just simple things, micro dates to a certain extent.
I love that.
It's like you'll be less exhausted, and you'll honestly probably make some good friends.
Yeah. And some better decisions, because you'll have conversations that will tell you things about this person without you having to learn them by making mistakes with them. You'll just have dialogue, and you'll be like, oh, they think like that? Interesting. I don't even want to take this to dinner. I don't even want to take this to nothing any more serious than this ice cream. This going to be my homie. And that's just going to be that.
Also, can I add one more thing?
Of course you can.
Having great conversation with somebody does not equal somebody who would be a great partner.
Right.
And I think that's where a lot of us get mixed up, is because we have great conversation with somebody or have chemistry with somebody, then we equate that to them being possibly a good partner for us in the long term. And it's like, there's a lot of people that I can connect with and that I have chemistry with, but having them as a wife wouldn't make sense.
Yeah.
But we have great conversation. We like a lot of the same things. And I just want people to understand that as we're talking about the micro dates, stuff like that, because so many people do that. They make that mistake and think that just because they had great conversation, like, oh my gosh, we talked all night. And that can be a sign that this is somebody, because you want your person to be your best friend. But there's a lot of people you can have great conversation with. Just like I said, there are people who are great daters. There are people who are great conversationalists as well. They know, like, I'm one of those people who, and I know some people like this who are kind of, well, I'll say this. This is like a skill that makes like great conversationalists, is that they're not deeply versed on every subject, but they kind of have like a basic knowledge of every subject. So no matter what you bring up, they can mention something to where it's like,
you know a little bit about that, and a little bit about that. They're like worldly, as they call it.
Yeah, I used to do that with like on dates and stuff. Like even with Bree, she was always a cheerleader. I was like, oh, were you bass or were you fly? Like doing the turns, because I hanged around cheerleaders when I was in high school, and there's like different industries and things that, like I said, if you have a base knowledge of things, it makes you sound like you can connect with somebody. And people who are good at conversation and good at networking, they listen to you and then they find the thing that they can kind of match with you on and latch on to and communicate, and they have a common thing with you with, and then they'll attack that thing, and then y'all start having a conversation about that mutual thing, and you'll be like, oh, we got so much in common. It's like, no, they just listened, and then they found the thing that you talked about that they had a common interest or common knowledge about, and then they just started speaking about that, and then they start to ask you questions about yourself, and you're talking, and you feel like you had a great conversation when you realize you don't know much about them.
Nope. You got duped.
Yep.
You got duped.
I digress. But I'm just conversation. Like there's just so much in this dating world that like people don't understand, that there are things that hint at possibly great relationships, but they don't understand that some people, like I said, great daters, great conversationalists. There are people who are just great at certain tasks and certain things. But ultimately that doesn't translate into them being a great partner for you.
100%. Couldn't agree more.
Awesome.
Date with your heart, but date with your mind.
Yes.
Date with your mind.
Yes. We talked about that the last episode, giving space to feel.
Yes.
For sure. Well, thank you, Ashley.
Yes.
We hope that this helped you out. And we hope that, this helped other people who are listening as well.
Yes. Do we have any bad advice?
I think you covered the bad advice with your real love scenario.
I did. That's true. Don't do that. Don't do that. I mean, you can't do it in this situation anyway. He actually conquered you. But yeah, just no bad advice that works. Just have fun, enjoy yourself, and ask the right questions, and spend the right amount of time with someone to really get to know if y'all are on the same page about what you want.
Yes. And I will say this isn't bad advice, but whenever you're in a situation where you're into somebody and they seem to not be like as into you anymore, the thing that's not going to work is you keep pressing them. If there is any chance of them coming back, the only way that's going to happen is if you just continue to move on and give them their space. And then people want what they can't have.
True.
And people come back to that. Like, so your best bet is to just move on. And then you might get that, what you doing, what you up to. If you don't text them back for 2 or 3 days or 4 days or 5 days, I guarantee you, even if it's somebody that somebody don't like, they going to be wondering like,
what happened?
They was hitting me up every day before.
Nah, for me, once you switch up like that significantly, it's a turn off. Like if you can just go from being on 100 and then we sleep together and you are now on 20, that's pretty much enough for me to be like, I'm done with this. Yeah. Either I'm done with it altogether, or I'm done with it in whatever the capacity it was before we did that. Because that is a clear sign to me that is all that you wanted. Like what else happened
And I think that you have to, I know we're supposed to end this, but I just think
good. It's so good.
I just think that you have to, as an adult, right? You have to be first look ahead enough to know that it's possible that after this experience, this person may switch up.
Yeah.
And being comfortable with your decision to sleep with somebody, no matter what the circumstances are. You shouldn't sleep with somebody for expectation of what sleeping with them could bring you.
Yeah.
If you want to sleep with somebody, you should sleep with them because you wanted to sleep with them. In that moment, it felt right. That's what you wanted. So then if things don't work out, you're not regretting sleeping with that person. It's in that moment, it felt right. It felt good. You felt safe. You felt like that was something not just they wanted to do, but that you wanted to do.
Yes.
And you feel okay about that decision. So even if it hits the fan, doesn't make sense, the person ghosts you, anything like that, you're like, I made a decision. I enjoyed myself. It was a good night. And I would have wished it could have turned out different, but that's what it is. So I think that that's a big thing too, is like, you gotta be, you gotta like, you made a decision and
it's okay.
It's okay.
And if you don't feel okay with it once you made it, then you know better for the next time. Exactly. I'm not going to do that again, because it's important to me, because for some people, sex is just a sexual experience that you're enjoying. It's fulfilling you physically. And for others, sex is an important decision that they only want to experience that with someone that does want to date them seriously.
For sure.
If you know that you are the latter, then you should not even be close to becoming intimate with someone until those boxes are checked off and you do feel like you have a promise of like some sort of commitment. You should not even put yourself in a situation, or you should even be communicating that. Like, listen, it's important to me. I don't have sex until I feel like this is something serious. I only have sex when I'm in a relationship. You should be communicating that up front and holding that standard for yourself. Because if you don't hold it for yourself, you, as a woman, you most certainly cannot expect no man to keep that, like hold you to that standard. Like, hey, I'm not your boyfriend yet. Don't give me no coochie. Hey, no, come on now. They're not going to do that. So if that's how you feel, if you feel that strongly about sex, then date in that vein and be super clear about that. You could always still get duped. Don't get it twisted, because some men are just very narcissistic. Not to throw that word around, but that's true. They will be so manipulative because they want to conquer you. So they'll make you think they do love you and they do want to be in a relationship with you, or you are in a relationship with them, all to still just get it. But come on, like, be smart and know what you want when you decide to get out here and date. Be clear about what you want and stand on your standards. Yeah. Stand on them. Don't let anybody take you off of them.
We can end that way, right there.
Bam.
Well, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Real Life Scenario. You can follow us on Instagram. I am at @ItStraySmith.
I'm at Ronnie Cakes.
And you can follow the Relationship Restored Instagram page. You can also go to the www.relationshiprestored.com and click the contact button to write in and let us know your real love scenario.
Yes.
If there is that everything?
I think that's everything.
I think that's everything.
That's everything.
Leave a review. If you made it to the end of this episode. Well, we appreciate you guys for listening and watching every week, and we'll talk to you next week.
Bye.